Thomas, ordinarily not superstitious, but we're back to Australia after having a pretty good week last week. And usually every week I change the open, so there's a little bit of different music to the background. But this week I left things be. I even got up this morning and made sure I put my left sock on first, then my right sock, then my right pant leg, and then my left pant leg, so that I followed the same exact routine that I went through last Friday. So
Friday.
that we can have this
Saturday. It is Saturday there, but so you can look at it in that context. No, not yet.
And we're hanging by our feet down there. So I'm happy to be back to Australia Gold Coast. 5 races once again. The Magic Millions. It seems like this Sunshine Millions, Magic Millions. There's millions of these races running.
Well, all Magic Millions. Magic Millions is a sales organization, just like Fawcett, Tipton, or Keeneland, or those. So they're having their auctions now, and I saw that one horse went for 1.4 million. So yeah, there's some big money.
Was that you or Terry who bought that one?
Probably Terry. I tend to sit in the $50,000 to $150,000 range.
Well, that's good. I haven't bought a horse yet. It's something I look forward to doing. I'm actually going to try to win one. There's a competition through contest through Indiana Grand that we posted last weekend on Horse Race Today on our Twitter and Facebook pages. So make sure you check those out. And at Indiana Grand, it's a contest that's every Saturday. So again, tomorrow, and you can win money. You don't have to be at the Indiana Grand track. You just got to print them out and send them in, email them in. And if you're the winner, if you're the top of the mountain when it's over, the last one standing, you get a $30,000 quarter horse. So I'm hoping to get my first horse, Tom.
Well, that's one way to do it. For sure. I mean, the most fun I ever had was with harness racing, only because they almost ran every week, and unlike the thoroughbreds where you get an occasional type of deal, it was kind of nice. I mean, until the horse was claimed from us, I saw it run 30 plus times. So, and did fairly well overall. And but it was for that, if you want to constantly watch, but if the thoroughbreds are a little more frustrating.
Yeah, I imagine. Well, based upon what Chantel was sharing with us last night, they can be. Each horse seems to have its own personality, some of which can be mean, she says, like the horse she ran yesterday.
Some of them are awful. There was one horse, and I forget the name of the horse, but the starting gate crew used to regret whenever that horse was running.
Yes, I can imagine.
Well, I guess it was it's in one of my Stranger whatever books that I read it, and the starting crew was just absolutely. And to the point where they actually banned the horse at one point.
Oh my God, it was a really misbehaving horse.
Oh, really bad misbehavior.
Well, let's not misbehave today. Let's get some good picks again. We don't have the heavyweight Chantel to carry the load for us. Terry, Tom, old man, come on, get it out right.
So one of those people.
Yeah, somebody who comes on the show every week. Anyway, what the hell? You know what it is? You confuse me without the Mission Impossible look, Tom. That's what it is. So we'll need the picks to carry us again this week, like they did last week, Tom. So let's get started. Australia, Gold Coast. So for those of you following along today on your account, be Twin Spires, TVG, whichever one you use, Keeneland, Bet One, there's so many of them out there. It is Australia B, and they'll be running tonight, probably starting around. Well, this one says
about 9 o'clock, roughly.
Well, the first race 5 is 23:35 Eastern time, so that would be 11:35. So it'd be about 10:35 our time.
Yeah. So, and a little earlier if you want to catch the earlier races, because they're all big money races this weekend. So good action, and there's good information out there if you want to play along. take a look at some of the stuff, and and the other nice thing is most of it's free.
Yeah, you don't have to go anywhere, Tom. They're right here. They're where they need to be, Thomas, especially based upon how well we did last week. So let's get cracking. Race number 5, Tom. It is it's a $1 million. It's live. QLD, I don't know what that stands for, but Magic Million Snippets for 725,000 Australian dollars, I suspect. This one is 6 furlongs.
No, that's in US dollars.
Oh, US dollars. Okay, cool.
Yeah, because it's $1 million race.
So 6 furlongs, and it's rated soft 5. Now, Tom was kind enough to send me a sheet of what soft 5 is. And basically what soft 5 is some give and one ranking away from good. So if the weather is fine now, I wouldn't be surprised if the track gets upgraded by tonight.
Well, they are expecting a little rain, so it could get some more moisture. So
it could get worse then.
Yeah, so it could go either way at this point.
So we'll just stick with 5.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we're going with soft 5, and I basically handicap for a soft course. So
and you're speaking about handicapping for a soft course. Before we get into that, real quick, these fields are at 18, 19 horses. I think the shallowest one is 16 furlongs. 16 horses, some of which are filled with 2-year-olds. So, talk about a card where just about anything can happen. This card tonight or tomorrow, if you're in Australia, this is an anything can happen card where if anything can happen, usually means there's opportunity to make some dough.
Well, and I went and looked at some of my picks on some of the other sites, and actually it was a little chalky, which is kind of surprising for me.
You're chalky. I'm not very chalky at all tonight. So hopefully between you and me, maybe mix our picks together and get some nice winners.
Yeah, well, that would be nice. My bankroll always appreciates that.
Mm-hmm.
I took number 14 as my top choice, Isotope. It's 10 starts, 5 wins, and 3 seconds. After layoff, it's got 3 starts and 2 wins and a second. And it's 3 for 3 on the soft going. 9 months, and so it comes in at one of the lightest weight horses in this field. It has placed in Group 2 races, and it's had some good efforts and at this, but the last race it ran here, I tossed the rider and it bolted, and that was
one of those mean horses that
should be banned. $1 million Guineas. That it was one of that happened. So it's had its issues. Looking at it, it only has 1 barrier race, and it finished second in that barrier race. So it looks like it's ready to go. And I thought I was picking a long shot, and guess what? Nope.
7-2. One line favorite, top selection here on the skyracingworld.com, where you can go to check out some information on these Australian races.
And so we went to number 4. Totally Charmed is my second choice. 22 starts, has 8 wins, 5 seconds, and 4 thirds. 2 starts this season, has a win and a second. It is stepping up in company. There's no question about that. So it'll be interesting. But, this 7-year-old appears to be in form. And especially with the weight, got out of the gate within the first races. And it was interesting. I watched its last race. It's an evenly run race. There was not anything, fast pace or anything like that. But when this horse had to make its move, it had to weave through a little traffic. It found an opening and then won by a half a length. So I thought that was a really nice job, and also it was a hand ride by the jockey. So it appeared to have plenty of horse under him. So I thought, can it win? And possibly. I think it's more of a money play in here, or an each way play, being play win in place.
Mm.
Now we're going to pick a little bit.
All right, here we go with the Tom shot.
Number 9, Tycoonist. 20 starts, 4 wins, 5 seconds, and 4 thirds. Has 13 starts on the off going, but only 1 win. But it does place. It's about half and half here. Lost by a head bob last time out. and moved inside. The winner moved inside of it, and the two of them were together for the last 200 meters, and then couldn't finish. It's the first. This will be a first start at this track, but has run some really good races at Rose Hill and at Randwick. So I think it's got a chance for a piece, and I think not great, big odds, but decent enough.
Well, 12-1 works. Anytime you get a 12-1 winner, you'll take that, Tom. Where else can you take 12, get 12 times your money in a minute and a half? Certainly not at the bank. But the way inflation's going, it might not be long before interest rates are back there again. But anyway, for me, when I look at these races, last week I had success just looking for form on soft, form at the distance. I figured if it worked back then, again, superstition, left sock, right pant leg, left pant leg. So I went and looked at all the different horses, and I was looking for one of three things. Either ran well at the track, ran well on a soft to good. So again, it's borderline soft good. If it rains, then it'll definitely be soft. And then from there at the distance to see kind of which horses performed well at one of those three. And then once I put all the horses down that performed well at one of those three, then I went back and looked at their times at 6 furlongs to see if they ran their best race, how would they stack up? So for me, Tom, I'm starting with number 2, Baller. And this is a horse that's going to be 8-1 morning line. I'm going to also go with number 14, Isotope. And then my next pick is number 5, number 3. If I can only read my own handwriting, Tom, I'd be in great shape. Roarn. And then finally, my long shot in here, Tom, is number 12, which is Dream Reacher at 66-1. So if this one comes home next week, I'm going to be 66-1 rich and take away that moniker from Thomas.
I would think so.
Next up on the list is race number 6, Tom. It is the $1 million Magic Millions Cup. Pretty self-explanatory there. This one starts at 12:15 a.m. Eastern, so 11:15 if you are in Central Time like Tom and I, 9:15 out on the Pacific Coast. It's a 7 furlong race, Tom, and look at how far down this list goes.
They do limit how many they put in the gate. I think it's 17 or 16. So the other ones I don't think are. I think they're considered standby horses.
I wonder if it's 19, Tom, because the 19 horse was the first AE on the program.
Okay, then it must be. Yeah, it must be 18 slots.
Could be
then.
18, yeah. So that's what I was looking at.
I tried to, I thought I found it and it said 16, and then I found another number, and I'm like, okay, I have no idea. But I wasn't interested in any of those horses anyways, because a few of them.
You might be making a mistake. There's one in there I think that you might like.
Well, the Ritz ran last week at this track, and was okay, not great. So I didn't go that way. I took number 2, Apache Chase, as my top choice. 19 starts, has 8 wins, 1 second and 2/3. It doesn't have a lot of races on the soft going, but there's a lot of back class on this one. The last race it tracked the leaders, then it was boxed and had some issues, and then but it was able to still finish 3rd. Another reason why I like this horse was because of one of the field it was in. It was in the richest sprint grass race in the world, which is held at Rose Hill. It was a 6 furlong race, and out of 18 runners, it finished 4th.
Not bad.
So that's not too shabby. It's won 2 races before that race, then one after that race. So it's definitely in form. It's just a matter of putting it in the right place. And I think it's in the right place in this race. His worst finish ever was 13th, but he was only 4 lengths back. So he's a pretty game horse. My feeling is my line is better trip, better results. My next choice is number 4, 11-11. It has 26 starts, has 8 wins, 2 seconds, and 4/3. Has 4 wins on the soft going. On this course, it has 3 starts and 2 wins, and at the distance, it has 5 starts and 2 wins. The reason I like to look at that is because it is that strange distance of 7 furlongs.
Yeah, it's peculiar.
Is it long enough for short enough for a miler to be able to do well here, or is it too long for a 6 furlong specialist?
Mm-hmm.
Or something along those lines. So you got to find that happy medium, and I think this horse fits that course. I tossed the last race. It was taken. It went wide from the barrier when it broke. Showed a little in the race, but the race before that, it had a nice win, and it was a $300,000 Australian dollar race, so decent money, and won that one. Last season, it won at the Gold Coast in a Magic Million race, so it has the capability here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I don't know about win, but I really like it for the money. And the odds aren't huge, but
15-2 seems like there's a few of them at 15-2, so
yeah,
sort of cool favorites.
It's a very competitive bunch, in my mind.
Yeah, they are, and the open trip's going to be important. All sorts of things are going to come into play.
Oh yeah, and the big field too. With being that, it'll even add more interest. Number 11, Oscar Zulu is my final selection. 16 starts, has 6 wins, 1 second, and 2/3. It's won a few races on the soft and heavy going. It has won at first asking after being off 3 months. So it does it. It had a rail trip last time out. It's about 5 lengths behind the leader at that point. Really got an ideal trip, and then moved up and won by half a length. And the winner, I should say it really looked nice, and it beat a group winner, so it beat a decent horse. From this distance, it has 8 starts and 2 wins. If he can get that trip, I think he's got a chance. If he doesn't, I think he's going to be somewhere in the back.
Well, like you said, this 7 furlong distance, Tom, is kind of that, tweener distance. Too tall to be a running back, too slow to be a wide receiver type thing, right?
Yeah.
And so looking at it, I was looking at these horses again. I went through the process of distance, track, surface, that sort of thing, and then ranked them according to their times if they run their best race. The interesting thing is some of the horses ran a mile, some of them ran 7 furlongs, some ran 6, some ran 6.5, some ran 6 3/4, which is an unusual distance, right? I mean, why not just go the extra quarter, make it 7? But in any way, some of the horses, yeah, so some of the horses, it looked to me like once they got past that 6 furlong marker, they started to tire a little bit. And then some of the others needed the distance, the longer run. So maybe 7 furlongs is not short or long enough for them. So you really do have to find that middle ground. So my rankings, I started off with horse number 1, Kamintari, 6-1 morning line. And then I agree with you on number 4, 11-11 is my second pick. My long shot in here, Tom, is number 10, Edison, 60-1. I think I rubbed off on you because when we first started doing this show, the Foreign Friday shows with the international tracks, I was always joking about how I could be a line maker because all the horses I'm picking are ended up, first, second, third, fifth, something like that in the morning line odds. Now you're picking the ones that are closer to morning line odds.
Yeah.
And I'm the one that's all over the place.
Yeah, something, New Year, I guess it flipped.
It's my
it'll come back again,
And then for me, I mentioned there's one I feel like in the also entries that you're gonna, or the also eligibles, depending however you term it. But number 19 for me, Sir Rocket, is one. If it gets in, I would definitely have an interest in playing. It would be probably my second or third choice if Sir Rocket finds its way into the race.
Yeah, that number 1 horse has done some really good stuff. But I decided I'd try to beat it once, and I looked at it, and I think there's a couple. To me, it's just a wide open race. I mean, my initial run through, I had 8 horses. I thought I had a chance. So obviously you can't give 8 out, but it was a little bit of a mind bender, and I spent probably the most amount of time on that race. So
yeah, and if you're
good
betting
luck to people out there, because I thought this was a real challenge.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you got 18 horses in the field, it's a challenge anyway, right? But if you're looking at if you're looking as a bettor, this is the start of the late pick four at the Magic Millions races tonight or Saturday if you're in Australia. Last week I was really confused as to when these races were going off. So, in any case, today next race for us, Tom, is the $2 million Star. I think that stands for. There's a small MM there. All the other ones were,
Magic Million.
yeah, and I don't understand why they changed the punctuation, because on the other ones it was M period, and now it's M little m. Did a different editor or something get
Yeah,
involved in
that's
there?
what I'm thinking.
But this one's even more fun, Tom, because you have a 6 furlong race. It goes off at 1 a.m. Eastern, so out on the West Coast. I think that puts you at about 10 o'clock at night. And this one has a full field of 2-year-olds. So you talk about full field, trip's going to matter. Young horses, you don't know what they're going to do from race to race. This is literally anything. I could see the 4 longest shots coming in 1, 2, 3, 4, and I can also see it going chalky. How do you see it?
Well, I took number 4, Mishana Spartan as my top choice, 2 for 2. And it's interesting because first race it went off at 51-1 and won, and this next race it goes off at 20-1 and wins. So obviously the bettors were not finding this horse, but the horse found himself, and he comes from a little bit behind. And now I understand why they felt that way, because if you look at the barrier races, they were awful. I mean, they were just not good.
He's Allen Iverson of horses. Practice. Yeah. We're talking practice.
Yeah, he won his last race on the soft going, and he moves late. So, and there's going to be pace in here. So if he can get the trip, he swung out last time and he was just flying. It's interesting. His last race that he ran was 1,200 meters. Now he's dropping back in distance. So it'll be interesting to see if he can do that again. And he's again won at that. So it is going to be a challenge. I will agree with that. But boy, if you get those odds again.
Well, he's 16-1 on the board right now, morning line. So I would think, though, considering he's 1-2 out of 2 at higher odds, I'd be surprised if that number doesn't come down.
Yeah, well, there is one huge favorite in here, and that's the number 9, Cooligata. It's 2 for 2, been favorite in both races. It's going to be the favorite again.
And that's is your second pick?
Yeah, number 9. Yeah, it's won its barrier races, so it hasn't lost a race yet, essentially. And it'll be very forwardly placed. It won at 1,200 meters last out. So, there's really not a lot else I can say about the horse. I mean, he's done everything they've asked it to do. And I would be very surprised if it doesn't go off at short odds.
Yeah, I mean, it's 9-4 morning line. So I think that's going to get bet down too.
I would be very surprised if it wasn't. Number 11 is my final choice. It's Russian Conquest. It's 2 for 2. But its barrier races were not as awful as my top choice, but they weren't great either. He was a 5-1 favorite last time out. Boy, I'd like to get those odds.
It says he's 7-1 right now. So
yeah, he made one run. He's won on the soft going. We're going to add distance because his first 2 runs were at 900 meters and 1,100. So for me, he's a money play. I don't see him winning, but I do see him hitting the board, and that's why I put him in.
Well, I'm actually starting with number 11, Russian Conquest, as my top choice. I'm following that up with Soaring Ambition, so the 11 horse, and then the 10 horse. I also have the Kulangata. Yeah, the thing is with these 2-year-olds, Tom, I want to play away from a 9-4 favorite. I'm not going to throw it out of the ticket, but it just seems to me with 2-year-olds, sometimes a horse looks like it's going to be a Triple Crown winner. Dennis's Moment, 8 Rings. I mean, you can go down the list of horse after horse after horse that look great when they were 2, and then one race, and then the next race they looked awful. So I like to play away from them. And then finally, my last pick, number 15, is Snitcat, is my long shot here at 25-1. So
yeah, definitely an interesting race. And of course, the other thing to always remember, like with the Kentucky Derby, is this is the first time they face this many horses.
mm-hmm.
And as you said, anything can happen. And now you put the factor of 2-year-olds, you get even more anything can happen.
Even more uncertainty. And and it's going to really come down to trip, right? The horse,
Yeah.
the horse that gets the best trip is going to end up winning that race, not necessarily the best horse, because when these big fields, there's going to be bumping. Some horses are going to get blocked. Some horses are going to run into horses that are fading and not have room to get around. Some horses on the front might have to run too fast because someone's just going for it and they make the pace too quick. So I think really trip really does matter. Race number 8, Tom, is going to be the $2 million Gold Coast. I know that's what the G stands for in this case. The Magic Millions, 3-year-old. And last time I tried to pronounce this word correctly, I totally messed it up. So I'll let you pronounce it.
Yeah, it's the Guineas.
I think that's what I was going to say. Anyway, so this is, again, that oddball distance of 7 furlongs where you have to find a horse that has enough late kick to carry its speed from 6 furlongs, but also doesn't need a mile and a half to finish its race. So how do you like him here, Tom?
I took number 14, Indiscreetly, as my top choice. It's 3 for 3, and it keeps winning by greater margins. It's a winner at 1,300, 1,400, and 1,600. So we're back to 1,400. Yes, this is a step up in class. It won on the soft going, and I'm hoping for a halfway decent price on this horse.
Well, right now it looks like 12-1, so that's more than a decent price. If that horse goes off at 12-1 and win, Tom, I'll be very happy, and you'll find out why in a minute.
Okay. Number 2, Jamina is my, I don't know, Jamia.
Go with Jamia. Jamea. I'm the official show pronunciator, so Jamea.
Okay. It has 8 starts, has 3 wins and 2 seconds. It is a Group 2 winner, but it's now coming off a layoff into this race. It has 3 barrier trial races, and a couple are on the soft going, and the results were pretty good. It's the second try at this distance, and last time out, when it was before they put it away for the season, it ran really awful, to say the least. So I understand why they put it away. If she runs to her Group 2 form, got a great chance. But again, that layoff, I don't know how it's going to handle that. That's my concern. The barrier races say it should be ready, but you got to run the race.
Mm-hmm.
Number 5, Far Too Easy, is my final choice. 6 starts, has 4 wins and a second. It's 3 for 3 on the soft going, and when it does come off of layoffs, it's won twice and had a second. So that's not so bad. Last time out, it had issues at the break, ran between horses, and got up in time. The winner, I shouldn't say it got up, but the winner was on the outside and had clear running, where this one had traffic and didn't win. So I thought it was a good race. It's the first time at this distance. But I like it's got starting post 7, and I think it's got a good chance from that post.
Well, I'm afraid that last week was far too easy, Tom, and we're going to pay a price this week. I hope that's not the case, but
yeah.
I said I would be happy if Indiscreetly goes off at 12-1 and wins, because Indiscreetly is my top pick. My second pick in here, Tom, is Starman. Third pick is number 11, Mimi Lagarde, at 13-1. So now I'm looking a little bit more like my normal morning line center. And then, why not try it again? I think this horse ran last week, was one of my picks. Number 12. No, No, I'm in the wrong race here. Hold on. Number 19 is my final pick. Snits on Fire. I've got one race ahead of myself right there. Again, I take a look at these horses and looking just for form at the distance, form on the surface, form at the track, and then I rank their times at different distances. You kind of have to factor things out here a little bit because of the 7 furlong distance. For a lot of horses, it's the longest they've ever run. So you just have to kind of wonder if they can carry their speed. So in the Australian, and I'll put a link to it on horseracingtoday.net, the past performances that you can find. And for some of them, they have all A, B, and C, but I found just C. So I'll link to it at horseracingtoday.net. You can go over there and find it when I put Tom's picks up and my ranks up. But they show you the times that the horse ran in each quarter of the race. So I was looking for the horses that were strongest in that, like that second furlong or third furlong numbers. So those horses that were showing that they weren't losing, because in the course of a race, the horses all are decelerating. And in the stretch, what's happening is it looks like horses are coming, but what's really happening is they're decelerating at a slower rate than the other horses are decelerating, if that makes any sense. But in any case,
no, it's the pace of the race.
mm-hmm.
You know, when you see a comment that says even, it's an evenly run race. I mean, it's all the horses were just run, you know, and then sometimes you see a really slow race and you're going, okay, they're going to be rushing right at the end, but you know, it just depends on how the jockeys dictate the race. Smaller fields, I think, are really where it's a jockey race.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched one today at Lingfield that was 4-horse field. And the longest shot on the board won, and it was all because the jockey stole the race by sitting on the front end, and it was dawdling the first 2 furlongs.
Well, don't you see that often in those shorter fields? It seems to me like I see a lot of times in those shorter fields, the longest price does seem to find a way to get itself at very minimum into second place. But I always in those short fields want to have one of the longer price horses in there, either as my first or second pick. It seems to me more often than not, especially if the 2 favorites are like Speed or the 3 other horses are Speed or all 3 are closers, the 3 top horses and the 1 non-favorite is a horse that's got some different tactics than the other ones. The final race.
My caveat there is who's the jockey.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, that's the only thing I look for. And I look for, you know, if it's a jockey that's a front running style jockey, he knows how to steal a race. He's done it before. He'll do it again.
Our final spot at the Gold Coast this morning will be 2:20 Eastern time. So that would be 1:20 here in Chicago, and that would put it at 11:20 Pacific time. So West Coast viewers, you'll be up just getting ready to go to bed or just getting ready to go out, depending upon your lifestyle, right? This one is a 6.5 furlong run, Tom. You have I think this is one of the shortest fields that we work. I think
it is the shortest field.
And it's only 16 horses, Tom.
Yeah. Only 16 horses.
Only. And, you know, when you say you do your rankings, I had like 7 horses that I initially wrote down and then, you know, narrowed it down to my 4. So why don't you tell us which 3 you narrowed it down to?
This one wasn't so bad. I had 5 and I went to, so it was was it easier? Not necessarily, because again, it would look that 6.5 furlong distance is something you got to factor in there. And so I did. And I took number 8, Dr. Why Not. It's my top choice. It has 18 starts, 6 wins, 4 seconds, and a third. 4 starts on the soft going. It's won twice and came in second twice.
Mm-hmm.
Last trip, it won by win. It ran by 2 lengths with a really favorable rail trip. So got first run, and they were flying late, but it got first run, and that did the trick. You know, it'll be interesting to see what it can do in here. He's has a win on this track in 3 tries, so if you like that. But it's interesting, his earlier season form, he was running at Eagle Farms. He had 3 races there, and none of them were any good. He moves tracks, and all of a sudden he's running well. So there was something going on with the water or something over there, because
it's interesting you bring that up. I was reading I constantly am reading different things, and one of the biggest things to look for horses that are out of form, where they rebound. So because I read a lot of books and articles on stats and stuff like that, but track change is probably the number one thing that can lead to form change for a horse, followed by a new trainer. But I was kind of surprised to see that. So it doesn't surprise me that the horse didn't, that he did wake up at a new course.
Yeah, he just ran a completely different type of race than he'd been running. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what convinced me that there's something left in the tank for this horse, because it was working hard, but it wasn't. It didn't seem to be completely out of gas, if you know what I mean. It wasn't just backing up. The other horses were coming, but he got first run, and that did the trick. So number 4, Miami Flesh, is my second choice. 8 starts, has 5 wins in a second. I'm going to toss the last one out. I watched the race, and it was used very, very hard in the early part of the race, and to get up the front and lead, and then it faded back. Prior to that, it has good efforts on the soft track, and this appears to be its preferred going. So it wants a little moisture in the ground. It won its first start of the season at short odds, and generally the odds have been pretty. I wouldn't be surprised if this one's the favorite. It's got a run over this Gold Coast and has a win from 2 starts, and she's also 1 for 1 at this distance. So I think the soft going, the right distance, and could mean a winning effort, and I certainly wouldn't lead her off my ticket.
Yeah, good combo.
I'm going to play for my final choice, a horse that ran last week. Number 13, Lady Banff, is my final choice. Has 19 starts, 3 wins, 3 seconds, and a third. Ran second last weekend to the horse actually I picked on top, but I had this one in my exacta. The first start of this season was not great. And I like to refer to him as she had a little too many adventures in that race, but she handled a lot better her next start, which was last week, and I think she's got a chance to hit the board here.
For me, I'm starting off with number 3, Tom, Wisdom of Water, jockey Ms. Rachel King. But the last time out on this horse, the 3-horse Wisdom of Water, ran 6 furlongs in 108 and 4. If it runs and the thing is, the horse, it didn't run like on the lead the whole way. The horse closed in at the last part of the race. So that 108 and 4 closing, if it runs that same 6 furlongs in 108 and 4 and then continues to move forward, I don't think anybody can beat that horse. Miami Fleiss, I guess named after Heidi Fleiss, but Miami Fleiss, if you remember her. This horse is run really well on a good and soft surface. On the heavy, if it rains, that might be a downgrade for this horse. But 5 of 8 lifetime, and then you have the horse 1 for 1 at the distance, 1 win at the track. Number 6 is my third pick, Colpo di Tamburo. This is another horse, Tom, that if you look at its 6 furlong numbers, last time out, it won in 109, and it was actually pulling away from the pack again. So I think that the little bit of extra distance, so the 6 furlong time says this horse fits, and the fact that it was pulling away at the end says that this horse fits. And then last race, I got a little bit ahead of myself. I took this one last week. I think this horse ran last week. The name rings a bell, maybe a couple weeks ago, but Boom Nova. So if you don't succeed, Tom, what are you supposed to do?
Try again to lose.
Well, let's hope that doesn't happen, Tom. That's not the point there. So in case you missed any of the show, what'll happen is in a little bit, I'll put up Tom's picks, my ranks, so you can head on over to horseracingtoday.net. You'll see the article right there with Tom's picks, a little bit of his thoughts, my rankings. And then, of course, there's all sorts of things on the site, too, like Terry's best bet for today, which I think is at Oak Lawn Park. You'll be able to catch, I haven't put it up yet, but it'll be up a little bit later on, our Players Edge podcast last night with Chantel Sutherland, which seems to be doing very well. A lot of folks, some really good conversation. We learned some nice things about what happens in the jockey room. You might want to check that out. You'll find that on our YouTube channel right now at Horse Racing Radar TV. And then, of course, Tom, if folks like what they saw today, what they saw last night, or what they ever see, what should they do?
Oh, I'm hoping you're subscribing to our channel. Check out our Twitter and Facebook, and also check out our website, because we got some good picks out there, and they're this week been doing very well. So
Lighten them up. Yeah, yesterday, Terry and I in our Aqueduct picks. I mean, it wasn't my top pick, but if Terry mentioned, if you box my top four picks for $128 in the at Aqueduct races 2, 3, 4, and 5 for the early pick 4, I think for 50 cents pay $29,000. So just need one of those a year, folks. That's it, right?
that makes the bankroll very happy.
Mm-hmm. For sure. It makes a lot of things, makes the holiday shopping bills go away. For sure. So again, if you like what you saw, the Twitter handle is Horse Race. So just Horse Race, the number 2, and then day. So Horse Race today. Go ahead and like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. And then if you're on YouTube and you like what you saw, a thumbs up would be appreciated, because any positive input from you moves us up the algorithms. The higher up we go up the algorithms, the more people come. You guys know how that works. All right, Thomas, any idea what we're planning on doing next Saturday?
Next Saturday
or Friday?
Well, Friday, but we're actually doing Saturday races or Sunday. No, I hadn't really looked at it yet, but I'm kind of tempted to head back to Hong Kong.
All right. So maybe Hong Kong will be on our list. As soon as we know what we're going to do, we will go ahead and have Swiss Army Sean put that out on our social sites, so you'll know where we're going to be headed. And then tomorrow, Terry and I will be back at noon Eastern. We're going to be covering some stakes races tomorrow at Santa Anita. There's 5 of them. So we're going to have our insights on every single horse in that race, why we like them, what we don't like about them, and then go ahead and make our picks. And last week, I think we did 5 races as well. I believe we had the winner in every single one, and some exactas and trifectas. So hopefully we can keep that going, Tom.
It's good momentum. It certainly would have helped at the Aqueduct.
Absolutely, for sure. All right, Thomas, any final thoughts before we get up and out of here this Friday afternoon?
If you're interested in these races, make sure you go check out some of the information that's out there on RaceNet or Racing in Sport or on Sky Sports, because it's really helpful. There's also free replays available and all that, so you can take a look at some of the past performances and see what you get. And it's well worth the investment in time if you're going to play these races.
And again, the site I was pulling up on the screen is skyracingworld.com. I will put a link to the past performances for the Gold Coast on the story at horseracingtoday.net. So make sure you head over to there to do that. All right, Tom, till we meet again next Thursday and meet again for our Foreign Fridays. Until then, everybody, we hope you have a fantastic weekend and that all of your picks and your life in general ends up in the
winner circle.
Absolutely. Have a great Friday. I keep thinking it's Saturday.
Not yet.